Okay, so we ended up at stage 5, paragraph page 397. 397. Okay, here we go. And our last headword was look like, new word type of
Mm.
fashion. Okay, so let's start with revision. Ready?
Okay.
Here we go. Is there a book anywhere in this room? Is there a book anywhere in this room? Yes, there's
Yes,
a book
there's a book
somewhere in that
somewhere
room.
in that room.
Where is there a radio anywhere in this room? Is there a radio anywhere in this room? No, there
No,
isn't a
there
radio
isn't a radio
anywhere
anywhere
in that room.
in that room.
Very good. If there's nowhere to sit in a bus, what do you have to do? If there's nowhere to sit in a bus, what do you have to do? If there's
If
nowhere
there's
to
nowhere
sit on a bus,
to sit on the
I
bus,
have to
I have
stand.
to stand.
Very good. Is there anywhere near there I can buy foreign books? Is there anywhere near there I can buy foreign books? Yes, there's
Yes,
somewhere
there's
here
somewhere near here
you can buy foreign
you
books.
can buy foreign books.
Right? If is there anywhere in your town I could get my hair cut for nothing? Is there anywhere in your town I could get my hair cut for nothing? No,
No,
there isn't
there
anywhere
isn't
in my
anywhere
town
in my
you
town
could get
you
your
could
hair
get
cut
your
for
hair
nothing.
cut or nothing.
Where in the world can a man murder another man without breaking the law? Where in the world can a man murder another man without breaking the law? There's nowhere in
There's
the world
nowhere in the
where
world
a man
where a
can
man
murder another
can
man
murder another man
without breaking the law.
without breaking the law.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? If I could live
If I could,
anywhere
I could live anywhere
in the
in
world,
the
I'd
world.
live in.
I'd live in Okinawa.
Why? Why?
So I've never been there.
In Okinawa. Oh, so you like forever vacation if you live there. Very good.
Yes.
Thanks. Do you think it's okay to let dogs run around loose, or do you think they should be kept on a chain? Do you think it's okay to let dogs run around loose, or do you think they should be kept on a chain? Yes or no?
No,
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
it's okay to
it's
let
okay
dogs
to let
run
dogs
around loose.
run around
I
loose.
think
I think
it should be kept
it should be kept
on a chain.
on a chain.
Very good. Why do people in hot countries wear loose clothes? Why do people in hot countries wear loose clothes? People in hot
People in
countries
hot
wear
countries
loose clothes
wear loose clothes
to keep themselves
to keep
cool.
themselves cool.
Are there any loose stones on the road outside your house? Are there any loose stones on the road outside your house? Yes or no?
No,
There
there
aren't
aren't
any loose stones
any loose
on the
stones
road
on the road
outside my house.
outside of my house.
Very good. Why does a man sometimes loosen his tie? Why does a man sometimes loosen his tie? A man
A
sometimes
man
loosen
sometimes
his tie
loses his tie
because it's more
because
comfortable.
it's more comfortable.
Very good. What's a storm? What's a storm? A storm
A
is a
storm
short
is
period
a short
of
period
very bad
of
weather.
very wet weather.
What do we sometimes see and hear in a storm? What do we sometimes see and hear in a storm? We sometimes see
We sometimes
lightning
see lightning
and hear
and
thunder
hear thunder
in a storm.
in the storm.
Very good. How do blind people read? How do blind people read? Blind people read
Blind people
with
read
special books.
it's
With
uh,
special
with
books
special books
made for them.
we are made
Homer.
for them.
Blind people read
Blind people
with
read
special books
use special books
made for them,
made for them,
which they can read
which they can
by
read
touching the
by
words.
touching words.
Very good. Where does the devil live? Where does the devil live? The devil
The
lives
devil
in
lives
hell.
in hell.
Very good. Can you ride a horse? Can you ride a horse? Yes or no?
No,
Uh,
I can't ride a horse.
Do you like riding on buses? Do you like riding on buses? Yes or no?
Yes,
I
I
like
like
riding
riding
on.
on buses.
What's another way of saying I ride a bike every day? What's another way of saying I ride a bike every day? Another way
The
of
another
saying
ways of saying
I ride a
I
bike
ride
every day
ride a bike every
is
day
I cycle
is
every
I
day.
cycle every day.
Very good. What words do we use when we ask for permission to do something? What words do we use when we ask for permission to do something? We use may,
We use may,
can, or could
can, or could
when we ask
when we
for
ask
permission
for
to
permission
do something.
to do something.
Give me three examples. Give me three examples, please. May I smoke?
May I
Can
smoke?
I open the
Can
window?
I open the window?
Could I borrow
Could I
your pen,
borrow your
please?
pen with pen,
Very
please?
good. Pen, please. Okay. In what kind of expressions do we use the word catch? In what kind of expression do we use the word catch? We use
We
the word
use
catch
the word
in
catch
expressions
in
such
expression
as catch a
such
ball,
as catch a ball,
catch a
catch
train,
train,
catch a cold,
catch a
etc.
cold, etc.
What am I doing? What am I doing? You're throwing your
You are
pen
throwing your pen
into the air
into the air
and catching
and
it.
catch it.
Okay, I already missed it. Okay. Are you the kind of person who usually has to run hard at the last moment in order to catch a bus or a train? Are you the kind of person who usually has to run hard at the last moment in order to catch a bus or a train? Yes or no?
Yes,
I'm the
I
kind of
am
person
the kind of
who
person
usually
who
has to run
usually
hard
has to run
at the
hard
last moment
at the last
in
moment
order to
in
catch
order to
a
catch
bus or
a
train.
bus or train.
If you walk in the rain without carrying an umbrella or wearing a raincoat, what might happen? If you walk in the rain without carrying an umbrella or wearing a raincoat, what might happen? If I walk
If I
in the
walk
rain
in the rain
without carrying
without
an
carrying
umbrella
an
or
umbrella
wearing a
or
raincoat,
wearing a raincoat,
I'd get wet
I'd get
and
wet
might catch
and
a cold.
might catch a cold.
Very good. Why is it a good idea to wear a cap in hot sunny weather? Why is it a good idea to wear a cap in hot sunny weather? It's a good idea
It's a good
to wear
idea
a cap
to wear a
in
cap
hot sunny
in
weather
sunny weather
because it protects
because
your
it
head
protects your head
and eyes
and eyes
from the sun.
from the sun.
Very good. What's the most common way to speak about our habits? What's the most common way to speak about our habits? The most common way
The most common
to
way
speak about
to
our
speak about
habits
our
is
habits
to use
is to
the present
use
simple
the present
or
simple
past simple.
or past simple.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. I play football
I play
every
football
weekend.
every weekend.
I always studied
I
hard
always studied hard
before exams
before exams
at university.
at university.
Does your father smoke? Does your father smoke? Yes or no?
Uh, no,
My father
my
doesn't smoke.
father doesn't smoke.
Did you usually go to bed early when you were a small child? Do you usually go to bed early when you were a small child? Yes, I
Yes,
usually
I
went to bed
usually
early
went to bed
when
early
I was a
when I
small
was
child.
a small child.
What's your worst habit? What's your worst habit? My worst habit
My worst
is that
habit is that I drinking alcohol too
I
much.
drink too much alcohol.
I drink too much alcohol
Very good. Oh, that's good.
sometimes.
Yeah, man. Okay, are you in the habit of speaking to yourself when you're alone? Are you in the habit of speaking to yourself when you're alone? Yes or no?
Yes,
I'm in the habit
I'm in the
of
habit
speaking to
of
myself
speaking to
when
myself
I'm alone.
when I'm alone.
Well, what were you in the habit of doing at the weekend when you were a little child? What were you in the habit of doing at the weekend when you were a little child? I was
I
in the
was
habit of
in the habit of go out with my friend
at the
in
weekend
at the
when
weekend
I was a little
when I
child.
was a little child.
Very good. What's the difference between a stranger and a foreigner? What's the difference between a stranger and a foreigner? The difference between
The difference
a
between
stranger
a
and
stranger
a
and
foreigner
a
is
foreigner
that a
is that
stranger
a
is
stranger
somebody we
is
don't know,
somebody we don't know,
whereas a
whereas
foreigner
a foreigner
is somebody
is
from
somebody
another country.
from another country.
Very good. What famous person would you most like to look like? What famous person would you most like to look like? I'd most like
At most,
to look
right,
like
to look like Emma Watson.
Emma Watson. What does she look like? What does she look like? She is.
She is have a long
Huh?
hair.
She is. So that she is. She has a long
She
hair
has a long hair,
and
and she is smart.
smart. Very good. Okay, so do you look more like your mother or your father? Do you look more like your mother or your father? I look more
I
like
look
my
more like my mother.
Very good. Do you think it looks like rain? Do you think it looks like rain? Yes or no?
Yes,
I think it
I
looks
think
like rain.
it looks like rain.
Do you think you look like succeeding in learning English quite well? Do you think you look like succeeding in learning English quite well? Yes, I think
Yes,
I look
I
like
think I look like
succeeding
succeeding
in learning English
in learning
quite
English
well.
quite well.
Very good. And that's the end of our revision. Right,
Okay.
blank. That's right. So let's start new word.
Mm,
Okay, very good. So
okay.
repeat travel.
Trouble.
Very good. Okay, listen, travel. Okay, next journey.
Journey.
Just.
Just.
Very good. Okay, listen. The difference between travel and journey is that we generally use travel as a verb and the word journey as a noun. For example, I traveled a long way, or the journey was long. So verb, I traveled a long way. So that is a verb. And the journey was long. The journey is a noun. The word just is an adverb. Just means only or nothing more than just. For example, it's now easier for people to travel to other countries just for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, because traveling is cheaper and faster these days. Especially if you have like Shinkansen bullet train very fast. But let's practice. What's the difference between travel and journey? What's the difference between travel and journey? The difference
The
between
difference between
travel and journey
travel and
is
journey
that
is
we
that
generally use
we
travel
generally use travel
as a verb
as the verb
and journey
and
as
journey
a noun.
as a noun.
Why is it now easier for people to travel to other countries just for the weekend? Why is it now easier for people to travel to other countries just for the weekend? It's now easier
It's now
for
easier
people to
for
travel
people to
to
travel
other countries
to other
just
countries
for the weekend
just for the weekend
because traveling is
because
cheaper
traveling is
and
cheaper
faster these
and
days.
faster these days.
Very good. Okay, next. What's the longest journey you've ever made? What's the longest journey you've ever made? The longest journey
The longest
I've
journey
ever made.
I've never made.
I've ever made.
I've ever I've
Made.
ever named.
One more. The longest journey
The longest journey
I've ever made
I've ever named
is from Japan to
is from Japan to Taiwan.
Thailand. Taiwan?
Taiwan.
Taiwan. Very. I thought Thailand. Taiwan. Very good. Give me a sentence with the words of course in it. Give me a sentence with the words of. One moment. I think I overshoot already. Okay. Next. Repeat. Of course.
Of course.
Very good. Okay. Listen. Of course. The word of course is used to show or say that what is being said, what someone has said, is already generally known. Like everybody knows it. For example, we can say, he's American. And so, of course, he speaks English because he's American. Everybody knows that. Of course, it's also used informally to give permission or say yes. So instead of saying yes, we say of course. If someone asks permission and you say yes, you say of course. For example, if someone asks you, could I borrow your pen for a second? You can say, of course you can. Instead of saying yes, you can. Okay, but that's informal. Yeah, let's
Mm.
practice. Give me a sentence with the words of course in it. Give me a sentence with the words of course in it, please. Could I borrow your
Could
pen
I borrow
for a
your
second?
pen for a second?
Of course you can.
Of course you can.
Very good. Okay. He's American.
He's
And
American,
so, of course,
and so of
he
course
speaks English.
he speaks English.
Very good. Let's repeat nowadays.
Nowadays,
Very good. Okay, listen. Nowadays is an ad. It means these days. For example, I think people are happier these days than they were in the past. I think people are happier nowadays than they were in the past because the world is becoming a better place to live in. Okay, so these days we can use nowadays. Let's practice. Do you think people are happier nowadays than they were in the past? Do you think people are happier nowadays than they were in the past? Yes or no?
yes,
I think people
I think
are
people
happier
are
nowadays
happier nowadays
than they were in the past.
than they were in the past
Why? Why do you think so? Because?
because uh, because
Yeah,
they have mm,
they have.
they they have they have free Wi-Fi.
They have free Wi-Fi. Very good. Internet also, and they can have Wi-Fi everywhere, right?
Yes.
Communication. That's correct. That's one reason. Okay. Next, repeat. Suffer.
Suffer,
Very good, Lumber. Suffer.
suffer.
Very good. Okay, listen. The word suffer is a verb. To suffer is to experience illness, to, ex- to experience hardship, to suffer. For example, I've suffered from some illnesses in the last 2 years. I have suffered from that kind of so like having a hard time. Let's practice. Have you suffered from any illnesses in the last 2 years? Have you suffered from any illnesses in the last 2 years? Yes or no?
Yes,
I've suffered
I've
from some
suffered
illnesses
from some
in the
illness
last two
in
years.
the last 2 years.
Very good. Next, repeat. Wish.
Wish.
Very good. Okay, listen. The word wish is a noun. For example, my greatest wish in life is to have my own house. Like dream, wish, like that. Let's practice. What's your greatest wish in life? What's your greatest wish in life? My greatest
My
wish in
greatest
life
wish in life
is
is uh,
is
to visit many countries.
many can I thought to marry a very handsome prince. Very good. It can be also right. While you're traveling, you can
Yes.
meet the prince.
Mhm.
Very good. Okay, next, repeat exist.
Exist.
Very good. Okay, listen, exist is the verb. For example, my building has existed for 25 years. Oh no, maybe 27 years. This is an old building I'm in at the moment. 27 years old, half of my age. Let's practice. About how long has your building existed? About how long has your building existed for? This building
This
has
building
existed
has
for
existed for 30 years.
30 years. Very good. Next, repeat. Remind.
Remind,
In other words,
in other words,
remember.
remember.
Very good. Okay, listen. Okay, so the difference between the words remember and remind is that we remember something ourselves, okay, without help. So we just remember by ourselves. Whereas if we forget something, somebody reminds us. In other words, they remember for us or someone else remember for us. For example, if you forget the meaning of a word during the lesson, the teacher reminds you of it. The word member is a noun. It means a person, animal, or thing that is part of a group. For example, you don't remind me of any member of my family. Let's practice. What's the difference between the words remember and remind? What's the difference between the words remember and remind? The difference
The
between
difference
the
between
words
the
remember
words
and
remember
remind
and
is
remind
that we
is
remember
that we
something,
do remember
or
something,
is that
is
we
that
remember
we
something
remember something
ourselves
ourselves
without help.
without help.
Whereas if we
Whereas
forget
if
something,
we forget something,
somebody reminds us.
somebody reminds
In
us.
other words,
In other
they
words,
remember for us.
they remember for us.
Where if you forget the meaning of a word during the lesson, who reminds you of it? If you forget the meaning of a word during the lesson, who reminds you of it? If I forget
If
the
I
meaning of
forget
a
the
word
meaning of a word
during the lesson,
during the
the
lesson,
teacher
the
reminds me
teacher
of it.
reminds me of it.
If you have an important appointment to keep, which member of your family reminds you to keep it? If you have an important appointment to keep, which member of your family reminds you to keep it? If I have
If I
an
have
important
an
appointment
important
to keep,
appointment to keep,
my
my mother
reminds me of it.
reminds me of it.
Very good. Do I remind you of any member of your family? Your grandfather, perhaps. Do I remind you of any member of your family? Yes or no?
Yeah, yes,
You
I
remind me
you remind
of a
me
member of
of
my
a member
family.
of my family.
Oh, your grandfather? Very good. Next, let's have the last one. Library.
Okay, library.
Very good. Okay, listen. The word library is a noun. Okay, I think library is popular in Japan. A lot of people like to read books. No, the difference between a bookshop and a library is that a bookshop is a place where we can buy books, of course, whereas a library is a place where we can go to read books or borrow them. Okay. For example, I buy books in a bookstore. I borrow books from a library. Let's practice. What's the difference between a bookshop and a library? What's the difference between a bookshop and a library? The difference
The
between
difference
a
between
bookshop
a
and a
bookshop
library
and a
is that
library
a
is
bookshop
that
is a
a
place
bookshop is the
where we
place
can buy
where
books,
we can buy books,
where we can buy
where
books,
we can buy books,
whereas a library
whereas a
is a
library
place
is the
where
place
we can go
where we can
to
go
go
to go
to read books
to read
and
books
borrow them.
and borrow them.
Very good. Okay, so now let's move on to our reading.
Okay.
Okay, so our reading starts at stage 4, page 291. The last headword was again. Okay, start with headword. Been, gone, return.